Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
It is picked off by the line. Darius Slay's got it. Coming back right side, 25. Picks up a block at the 30. Darius at the 40.
Drink it in, drink it in. Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Rolls to the right. Stafford throws deep. Got a man out there. End zone. Caught. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Marvin Jones.
Drink it in, drink it in.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Cornbread.
Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid, what is going on, everybody? We are back. Man, it's about midnight. The first round literally just ended. And I'm happy to say I got the Big Hughes and Grifka on the line tonight. Fellas, what's going on?
What's happening?
Yeah, it's nice to be here.
Well, we've been waiting for this day. Draft's been coming. We've been prepping. We've been talking. Me and Grifka been arguing. The pick's been made. We're going to talk all about it. We're going to break it down, give our opinions, kind of work this thing through. Rounds 2 and 3 tomorrow, and then 4 through 7 over the weekend. So plenty of draft to go. I'm sure we're going to have some heated moments in this podcast, but before we get to the fellas and talk all about it, we're going to go ahead and kick it to our sponsor, Anchor Podcast, for a second. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, we're back. So for the sake of not losing our whole audience here in the beginning, I'm going to do what I think is right, and I'm going to kick it to the Big Hughes to give us his opinion, hopefully talk us down, hopefully give us some optimism here as the Detroit Kool-Aid drinkers, and talk about the number 8 selection by the Detroit Lions, TJ Hawkinson. Hughes, I know this wasn't really a pick you wanted, but give us your initial thoughts, what you think now, where we're headed with this thing.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. I might not have enjoyed the pick to start off with, but the blood runs deep for the Hawkamania.
Oh, yeah, I dig it.
Yeah, you're right. It's, going back to the moment of when the pick was made, the anticipation was there, and then it's just like TJ, and just one of those things, right? But you know what? Realistically, I've had 2.5 hours to kind of digest it and think about it. Maybe at the end of the day, we're going to kick ourselves for not taking Ed Oliver, but realistically, we know this team needed weapons, and they got a weapon today in a position that they needed. I think Hawk's going to be good. He's a good fit for the offense. Bevel had a plethora of tight ends when he was in Seattle, so I think just at the end of the day, it was the smart pick to make. And you know what? I'll give it a B plus.
Okay, some instant reacts there. Hey, Grifka, do you need any ice for your lip that you probably just bit right there? Okay.
No, reasonable mind.
Wait, hold on. I
that's
gotta
fine.
The bell was out of reach. I know I'm going to need the bell here for your retort. So for those of you that know Grifka, you pretty much know the take. And those that don't like it, you might want to get the earbuds out. Grifka, I turn it over to you. The number 8 pick, a tight end. You've talked about this. We've heard you. Go ahead, and I will have the bell ready and cut you off if needed. Go ahead, sir.
It fills a position in need.
Go ahead.
It fills a position in need. There you go. I mean, it's like, what else can I say? I mean, like you said, we've kicked this dead horse a million times, and they just go take another tight end. It's like, fine, whatever. You think he's one of the top 5 players, and yes, and I've had some Twitter discussions as well with people, and I've actually, some people are like, oh, you're one of those guys, or like, go root for somebody else. Fine, whatever. Go root for another team, fine. It's like that's why the Lions are the Lions, because people that say go root for somebody else, you guys are happy with mediocrity. Fine, whatever. You live with it. I mean, whatever. You got a tight end in the first round, and the top 10, number 8, that from everybody saying like they got some great offers for him, and like, no, we're gonna stand pat and get this tight end. So, okay, go ahead. Okay, you got a tight end. You filled the position in need. Okay, congratulations.
That's a bell for the congratulations. Is that all you got, Griff Guy? I've been waiting to argue with for hours. That's all you got?
Oh, I'll wait for you. I'll wait for your sunshine and rainbows on this guy about how his bust is going to be in Canton 5 years right after he retires, and then we can discuss. That was just my quick take.
Okay, so that's all you got. Is pretty much what you're saying.
Right now.
All right, Hughes, is it okay if I go?
Yeah, let him have it.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to say off the top that, I've defended this pick in the past. It was not my first choice. But with all that being said, I'm going to tell Grifka why this pick makes a lot of sense and why it's a pick for our Detroit Lions. So you should actually think about it, use a brain rather than just say, oh, it's a tight end. I hate it. Oh, it's a first round tight end. Who does that? Well, you got to look at the player. So we needed a blocking and catching tight end. We got that. We got a guy at basically no money. I looked up his contract. We have him for 5 years at, maybe $12 million, something like that, with a little bit of a signing bonus. So the contract's right. I mean, the guy's young. He was a redshirt sophomore. I just think he's such a safe pick. And if you ever listen to Bucky Brooks and DJ, they always say to win in the draft, you hit doubles. To me, this is a double type pick. This guy's never going to be a world beater, but he's also never going to be in the police blotter. He's never going to, let your team down. He's going to be solid across the board. I mean, they probably thought they couldn't find a guy like this in any other avenue, free agency, trade, whatever it may be. You're getting a 21-year-old meat and potatoes tight end that can catch the football. I mean, you saw those highlights in the block game. He's just taking people and, as we like to say, put him in the ground. You got to love that. We haven't had a person like that forever. And what I'm waiting for you, Grifka, is to talk about this player. You say you've seen him. You just say, oh, it's a luxury pick. Do you look at the player whatsoever, or you just see that he has a TE at the end of his name and you just quit on him? Because when you actually look at the player, and then what I've always said is wait till he plays football the season and he's just a part-time guy that makes a few catches here or there. Yeah, you can rag on it and then you can say, see, I told you so. But before this guy plays any downs, for you just to hate it because of the position he plays, I think is ridiculous. So I would have went with Ed Oliver. I said that on Twitter. I didn't really want a tight end, but I can see why they wanted one. And now he's just got to go out and play football, make plays, move chains, score touchdowns, and he's got sticky hands, all that type of stuff. So I'm going to support it because it's my football team, and it is a position they sort of had to fill. Now we're pretty deep with different types of tight ends, and now we got to work the next 6 rounds, the next 8-9 picks we have. Plenty of time to fill corners, defensive players, wideouts, whatever you want to do after that. So that's what I got for you.
Okay. Well, just to retort on your one point that you said that he's never going to be a world beater. Okay, I can live with you're never going to be a world beater in the 20s. I can't live with you're never going to be a world beater in the 8. These are supposed to be your stud guys. This is a top 10 pick. And to say, you watch him, once again, yes, I saw him more than just a couple games. I mean, he played in Big Ten, so I don't wait for people to tell me this guy's good and then go look at their videos. I see some of our games on Saturday. It happens. So I just don't wait for some talking head on NFL Network or Mel Kiper like you always use for me to say, this guy's good, go look at him. No, I watch their games as well. So when you're oh, look at him block all these guys. Yeah, I saw those highlights too, how he's beating up the defensive end from Indiana and how he whooped up on the guy from Illinois. So, okay. I mean, I know you've picked on me for saying stuff he beat up on this crap team or look where he played. Okay, he's playing against the dregs of the Big Ten. They showed us highlights. Okay, cool. I got that. He can block against Indiana and Illinois. Cool. I got it.
Oh, my goodness.
Anyways, so when you're did you look at the guy? And I retorted back to you at one point. You're look at the guy, how he fits his team. And I said, well, look at all those other tight ends that they just showed on the NFL Network. How there was one guy who had a decent career, Vernon Davis, that they picked in the top 10. So I guess my question to you would be like, are you saying like when those teams drafted, when the Jets drafted Kyle Brady and the Cleveland Browns drafted Kellen Winslow and the Oakland Raiders took Ricky Dudley
Oh, come on.
well, the Lions took Eric Ebron, are you saying those tight ends didn't fit their need in the top 10? Or they didn't fit their offense is what you're trying to tell
what
me?
I'm trying to tell you is I don't give a crap about Dudley or the other 10 names you named off. I care about
It's
TJ.
a trend, though. These guys
What's
do
a
not.
trend?
All I'm saying is, like, a tight end does not live up to your stud position in the top 10.
Oh,
It just doesn't happen.
God.
These are supposed to be your game changers. Your tight end that you're only going to use half the time, he's not going to be your game changer. I mean, they're on there saying he's not even Gronkowski. Oh, they had Gronkowski. He knows what it is with tight ends Gronkowski. And people are like, well, he's not Gronkowski. Okay, so he's not Gronkowski. So why are you taking this guy in the top 10? I'm not saying he won't be a decent player. He'll be a fine player, maybe in the league for a number of years. But is he going to be your game changer? I guess my question to you is, not as a rookie. Let's say he starts to get in the prime of his career, his fourth, fifth year. What type of stats are you looking for this guy? You always say, like, if he puts up numbers, it doesn't matter where he's taken or what position, if he delivers. What type of stats are you looking for out of this tight end, taken at the number 8 position? Touchdowns, yards, catches. What are you looking for?
Okay,
just
can
ballpark.
I talk?
What would make it worthwhile? Yeah, because I'm giving you time to think of a number.
I don't need any time.
Think
Griff.
of your
I
numbers.
could have answered 10 minutes ago. Hughes, do you want to say
Okay,
anything
go ahead.
before I light Grifka up?
No, go ahead. I'll take the seconds.
Okay. Hey, Grifka. So you named off all these scrub tight ends that didn't work out, and you also said your top 8 is supposed to be your studs. Aren't you the guy that always tells me their prospects until they do something? So last time I checked, just because you're picked in the top 8 doesn't make you a Pro Bowler. Secondly, aren't you the guy that always says, "Oh, stats. I don't care about stats. It's about wins. It's about this, that, and the other." Like, I could care less what this guy's stat line is if he's moving chains, scoring touchdowns, if Matt Stafford has a connection with him, if he doesn't, I don't know, drop the football like your boy Eric Ebron. Like, I think we're going to be pretty happy with that type of football player, considering the last time I checked, too, our team's not empty. We have a really good defense already. Yeah, we can add to it, but we have a good up-and-coming defense, and we have playmakers on the outside, a good running back, and a quarterback that's under contract. So what did you need if you were going to add offensively? The big gaping hole was a dual-type tight end and a slot receiver. So they took the dual-type tight end. So you want numbers? I don't care about numbers. TJ Hawkinson, again, is a mean potatoes fill for this team that hopefully is going to bring us W's, hopefully bring us playoff wins, and hopefully be part of a team that's going to do more than just win one game in the playoffs to go farther. That's what I hope for.
So you would be fine if he got, 2 catches, 15 yards a game?
Did we win? Are we going to the playoffs? Are we maybe getting closer to our ultimate goal? Who cares what kind of catches he has? And he's going to be a much better ball player than that. So he's not going to be a 2-catch, 15-yard guy. You know that.
No, that's what I was asking. Give me some numbers that you'd be like, so as long as we get a W,
Right.
he could have 0 catches. But as long as we get the W, it's cool then. So that's all you're saying then.
Yes, because
That's
he's
all
going to
you're
maul
saying.
people in the run game. He's going to do all types of other stuff. And all we ever care about is wins.
All types of other stuff. What's all types of other stuff if he doesn't have any catches? He's only blocking.
Grifka, what do you think the chances are he's going to have these long stretches of no catches? That's not going to happen, man. That's you being negative.
I just posed the question. You said he's going to be doing all types of other stuff. I go, if he gets 0 catches, then he's not doing anything else.
Hughes, go ahead. I'm done with this guy.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, Grifka, you're fascinated with the stats, but like realistically, the NFL now is a scheme fit, right? So if this guy's, getting coverage by other guys and opening the middle of the field for other people, who cares how many catches he gets? And realistically, what kind of stats were you expecting from if they would have took Ed Oliver? He's already going to be a rotational player with hand, snacks, Ashawn. So what would you expect from him? 5 sacks? Is that worth the number 8 overall pick? I don't think so. And I've said all along that I think Ed Oliver is going to be a bust because he's in it for the money. He's not an Aaron Donald type of player. You weren't going to get that at number 8. If they would have took Hawkinson over Josh Allen, I would be right with you on this one, Grifka. But realistically, they took Hawkinson over Ed Oliver and Brian Burns. So at the end of the day, you look at those three players and who's going to have a better effect on their team at the end of the year. My vote goes to Hockenson.
And the other thing, Grifka, before you jump back in, like, name another player in this draft that's like Hockenson-like. It's not like there was three more of these guys. He was really the only guy that could be a beast in the block game, help your offensive line, catch the football, add to the offense, and I'm sure they feel they can get defense later. I mean, you saw there's one or two corners that went off the board. We can easily get a corner in the second, and that was our plan all along.
Hey,
we can easily get defenders later.
It was just one corner, and I'll tell you which one corner wasn't drafted in the first round.
Who's that?
Your boy from Temple.
Yeah, Grifka, what about that? Rocky Sin, still on the board. Woo!
Well, yeah, so is your boy, Byron Murphy, who you had him going like in the top 15. You know, your boy, Mr. Byron Murphy, you saw some tape after somebody
and my
said he was
boy
good.
DK, and that's fine because they'll go to good situations and they'll be good. But I just prayed and hoped that Rocky Sin wouldn't go because I would hear that forever from you. So...
Yeah. So, but anyways, you want to hear some stats?
We don't want to hear
if you're
stats.
Looking at a tight end to go in the first round. No, go ahead. No,
I said
you want some stats now. You said I'm fascinated with stats. You're looking at somebody, like I said, a game changer. You're looking for stud. They're trying to use this baby Gronk or whatever like that. Gronk threw up some stats, man. And we're talking like bunch of catches, were almost 1,000 yards. 10, 12 touchdowns. He would throw. I mean, yeah, he was injured later, but when he was in his prime, this guy was putting up double-digit touchdowns. That's what you would be looking for.
Oh my!
If you're looking for a guy who's going to get you 3-5 touchdowns, 500 yards, you can get that position. You can get that tight end.
Grifka, the other thing that I want to bring up earlier, we're going to compare him to the Gronks, the Kelseys, all that. Yeah, those guys went later. If you redraft, where do they go? Probably top 15. Maybe even top 10 for a Gronk when he's putting up those kind of numbers. And I said I don't care about numbers. I didn't say
exactly
what.
You're right. They go later. You can get those guys later. You just said it yourself. So why would you do that? And to say like Ed Oliver's just going to be a rotational, you're right. If you can continually put guys in there that are really, really good, and there's not too much of there's not that major drastic step down when the backup guys come in.
So you want to use the number 8 pick on a guy that pays 25 cents?
So if
no, you don't. You don't want to add your fourth defensive tackle to a position you've put all these resources in the last couple of years. Best case scenario.
Right. So when Ed Oliver comes into his prime, Snacks will be going out the door. So I guess I'm missing this because when Snack's out the door in a couple years, we'll still have Ed Oliver on that rookie contract, and he'll be cheap.
I like that, but like my thing with Ed Oliver was if he wasn't a scheme fit for Matt Pat and them, then I could have seen why they passed. I mean, that's the guy I would have taken based on what I knew. Again, I don't know. I didn't interview the guy. I don't know what their plan is on defense, or do they want to re-sign A'Shawn? I don't know. Do they want to extend Snacks? I don't know. That's going to play into it. But like you say, when you really think about it too, I mean, Hockenson, he can be a 3-down guy, but also you got Jesse James and Big Mike. So you went from having no tight ends last year, which we know hurt us on offense, to now maybe having 3 guys that can not only pretty much do block and catch, but you can mix them up. You can run double tights. You can probably even run a 3 tight set if you want to get crazy out there. I mean, it really opens you up across the board. And I got to go back to my point. Like Grifka, I said these guys go later, but then they end up being studs. So if you redrafted, you take them high. So what's the difference? Like if we take him at 8, he balls out and does put up your stats that you want. Like you would say, okay, it was a top 10 pick, right? So if you get him in the 3rd round and he balls out, it'd be the same thing if you redraft. Like the value is different, but you can't assume that you can wait and find these gems. But when they turn out to be gems, nobody looks back and says, man, Gronk was a really good pick in the 2nd round. Like, what'd you wait till the 2nd round for? So that's what I'm saying is that like the production there matters, but I already gave you the point. Like if he doesn't put up huge stats and we win, I'm happy. If he goes out and puts out those stats you want of 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns, well, there you go. Then you're happy, I guess. But I want W's, man, first and foremost. And like I say, this wasn't my favorite pick, But again, you got to find reasons that it makes sense for this Detroit Lions football team, not the Grifka imaginary. I wouldn't draft a tight end ever just because, and not the, like you said, I was talking to Hughes before the draft, and he was like, man, I'd rather have a receiver than a tight end. I'd rather have a, Brian Burns than a tight end, But here we are. The Detroit Lions, our Detroit Lions, wanted a tight end, and they took one. They took the best multifaceted guy, and there it is.
Okay. Like I said, we can kick this dead horse all we want. I don't find the value of tight ends in the first round, especially the early first round. No matter, with the rookie wage scale now, blah, 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 all that. Those top 10 should be your game changers. They should be your stud game changers. And if you're getting a guy to come in to, you drafted 8 to get you 2 or 3 catches for 15 to 20 yards, 5 touchdowns in 1 year, you can grab that tight end anywhere.
Hold on. I know it's late. We're going to close down this show here in a minute, but I won't speak for Hughes. I can't let you get away with that. I don't know why you're putting this 2 catches, 15 yards, or this, it's not going to be worth the value. This guy's never played a down for our team. You got to project forward, but you're the only one saying that at this point. There's plenty of other people out there that would hate the pick, and there's a lot of other people out there too that would say this guy was the top tight end in this draft, and the Lions felt and needed a tight end, and they took one. Let's see what he does. That's going to be the true measure. Now, I'm giving you credit for looking forward, but why you're acting like he's going to play half the downs and catch 3 footballs, I don't know. What gives you that inclination? Just because you hate tight ends?
No, I'm just saying that just on past
history of what?
I'm not talking lines. I'm talking league-wide, because everybody's looking for that matchup nightmare tight end, and they don't come along. And, like I said, they're trying to get baby Gronk, and he's not Gronk. He's not as fast. He's not as big. He's not as strong. Yeah, we saw him maul, Indiana, Illinois guys and stuff like that. But yeah, he's not as fast. He's not as big. So to say he's going to be a matchup nightmare, yeah, he catches the ball. Okay, I got that. But to say that he's going to be like some matchup nightmare all of a sudden, he runs a 4.7. Linebackers can keep up with that.
What did Gronk?
And
what did Gronk run?
He's not as big, so not right off the top of my head. I don't have it right in front of me.
If Gronk was much lower or higher than a 4.7. I bet you he's right in that range. What's Hawkinson? 6'5", 250, 260. To me, that's similar size. He moves better.
Well, they said it on NFL Network. He wasn't as big and as strong as Gronk, but I guess they don't know crap. They only
they
NFL,
don't because they had Rock going in the first round. Honestly, nobody in the Lions organization is drafting him and saying, "Oh, we drafted him because we want baby Gronk." No, that's coming from the talking heads that you always talk crap about, Grifka. So on one hand, you're saying that they don't know what they're talking about. On the other hand, you're using all their language. Realistically, and this is no offense to you, but this is to all the Meyer department store Detroit Lions fans out there who instantly see that they drafted a tight end and they're saying, "Oh no, it's a tight end. It's Eric Ebron Jr." I hope Hawk wears number 85 just to shut everybody up, because realistically, he's actually a good football player. Martin Mayhew missed on Eric Ebron. Everybody else would have done the same thing at the time. But you know what? Hawkinson's not Eric Ebron. He's not Kyle Brady. He's not all those other guys that you listed. He's a different tight end in a different year with a different team. So if you want to keep calling him Baby Gronk like the rest of the NFL Network, fine. But the Lions didn't draft him. No, I'm
not calling him Baby Gronk.
But who are
they? That's what
they're
saying, and that's your positive. That's your positive spin on him. That everybody's like they're going to use him like a Baby Gronk. Okay, that's NFL's positive spin. Why the Lions
not anybody associated with the actual team. So if you want to listen to what the media says and follow them, that's fine. They also had Rock going in the first round of mock drafts, and we saw how that worked out. So realistically, it's not about what the media thinks or NFL Network thinks. If Bob Quinn says that this is our guy, he's going to fit our scheme the best and give us the best chance to win, then you know what? As a Lions fan, you trust Bob Quinn because that's what he's there to do. No matter what we think or what we say is going to change who they pick. And we could be like the rest of the Meyer Lions fans and just see that it's a tight end, go to the store, get our little jerseys and boo, 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 boo. But you know what? Realistically, who cares? Who cares what other people think?
And the big difference, like I didn't want to bring up Ebron, but like when Ebron was coming out, the big knock was he's immature. He doesn't have a good head on his shoulders. He thinks he's the greatest gift at tight end. Yeah, he's big and athletic. Yeah, he made some plays at North Carolina, but he doesn't have the mentality to play in the NFL level. I completely remember that. You can totally go back and pull that up. That was the huge knock on him. Where is he going to go? Because he's not a mature player. To me, Hawk's the total opposite. And this guy, he's just down to earth. He's nothing but football. I already listened to his press conference. Every answer was, I can't wait to get in the playbook. All I want to do is contribute to the team. I had a great sit down with these guys. I dissect the tight end position. He said he watches all the top guys. He knew all the names, said I'm going to take a little bit from everybody's game. I mean, did you ever hear Eric Ebron say that, or did you hear him say, man, I'm the greatest ever, before he ever walked in the door? So it's a total different player, different mentality. And I want to hit one other quick thing before we kind of pitch it back to you and close it up. Like, I asked about his speed in comparison to Gronk, and you went right back to, well, they say he's not as big and as strong. I don't need a guy that's bigger and stronger than Gronk. I need a guy that can move better. I need a guy that can be just as good in the block game. And I need a guy that can put the ball in the paint, score touchdowns, get first downs, which the Lions have been terrible at on those third and shorts, third and mediums. And then I need a guy that's going to be a great, dependable football player to a team that's already got some structure to it. And yes, still needs maybe a couple blue chippers, but, I don't see this being one of those we look back in 5 years and go, total miss. This is going to be a good football player that I think we can count on for a while. It was safe, but like you say, there were bigger swings that could have been taken, but it was a safe pick. And everybody is going to like him if they not only give him a chance, but see his game. His game's going to be a lot different than Pettigrew, Ebron, and some of the other guys you see out that aren't doing so well. Grifko, we pitch it back to you for one more big swing by you if you want, and then we'll about maybe what to look forward to moving forward in this draft and get out of here.
Well, I just always contest that. I just don't find the value of the pick that of certain positions in the first round, and tight end just happens to be one of those positions. You can find those good players that you're going to use later in the draft. I mean, you always tout you can find those diamonds in the rough later in the draft. We had a slight discussion on that on the Wednesday show. But to take the guy 8 at tight end, if you just want him there to help you with wins, okay. Like I said, I just don't find the value of certain positions in the first round, tight end being one of them. Once tight end, they generally don't live up to the status of first round, early first round material. Like I said, I named off some names, but I feel the top 10 guys, those should be your game changers. And I just don't feel tight ends are game changers. I know that's the way everything in the league is heading. So that just means coaches are going to scheme to stop them. So it's just one of those things. I just don't find the value of certain positions, and tight end is one of them in the first round.
So, Griff, I have one quick comeback for you. I don't have any more energy to argue with you or try to justify it, but you keep going to the tight ends aren't worth the value. Tight ends don't take that high. Tight ends. I mean, do you ever look at the actual player and say, well, normally tight ends aren't, but maybe this type of player is, or is there just no player that you've ever seen in a draft at the tight end position that would be worth a top 10, 15, top 8 pick? Never. That's what I want to know, because it comes down to the player, not the overall position. Like, you can weigh it a certain way, like, hey, I weigh defensive end over this, but sometimes you just look at the board and you say, this guy is a good football player that breaks the rule. I mean, this guy either can't fit in that, or do you ever do that, or is it just position only?
Yeah, I'll look at the players, and like you said, I could live with more of a tight end later in the first round, somewhere in the 20s, and I believe I've said that on a previous show, ding the bell. But like I said, top 10, they just, from past history and the way I look at it, I don't feel that they live up to the status of being the game changer that a top 10 pick should be. That's just how I feel about it.
Okay, and final question.
So yeah, I do value defensive ends, defensive tackles, left tackles, cornerbacks, weak outside linebackers, I value those picks, quarterbacks, higher than I would a tight end. Yes.
Okay, but those are blanket positions. It pretty much depends. I'm sure you wouldn't take certain linebackers over a certain position just because they're a linebacker. Yeah, it depends on the player. My final question to you is, where would TJ Hawkinson, where would he be valued to Mike Grifka? I want to get this on just so I know.
Where would I have drafted him if he would have fallen? If he was like I said, somewhere in the early 20s. The Lions they traded down, depending. I would love to hear some of these offers that people keep saying that the Lions were offered to trade back, and they said no, they were going to stay on pat. But somewhere like in the early 20s, like 21, 22, 23, like okay. I could swallow a tight end a little more.
Okay, I got you. The only thing I'll say to the trade down is obviously that's where I like to go. I like to accumulate picks, Grifka. You know why? Because they're cheap, and because you can get a lot of great lottery tickets and football players. But the only thing I'd say is why they don't trade down is this was a one type of guy. You're not going to get, a Chase, in the third round that's going to be as good as Hawk. You're not going to get Noah Fant. He's a totally different football player. Irv Smith, short, totally different pass catcher type. So, yeah, you can trade back. But if this is the guy they felt kind of helped and completed their offense, you don't trade down, because when he goes, there's not another player like him in this draft or normally. There's usually not these dual guys that can run fast, catch, and block really well and like to block. So anyway, I'm out of steam. Hughes, you got anything else on this? Are we good?
No, I'm ready to move on and talk about round 2 and 3.
All right, yeah, let's do that real quick before we get out of here. So I kind of had it wasn't really a mock, like me and Hughes did a mock. Hughes, did I beat you in that mock contest we had?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't checked yet.
Yeah, I think I edged you out, buddy, because the end of the round, and there were some crazy names coming off that I don't think any of us had in our mock drafts. But what I did, too, is I had a board which was just 64 boxes. And so I just put players kind of in order, but also just, where I thought they would fall. And, man, I mean, just on my first round board, I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10. I got 11 guys that I kind of feel are first round values that are still on the board. I mean, crazy. Jawan Taylor didn't even go. He was projected top 5, top 7 for a long time in this process. I mean, I don't think the Lions need him, but what are you guys thinking? I mean, I got some names on my short list, too, of Lions targets, but what are you thinking with, okay, we've added the tight end. You could scratch that off the list. Where were you looking for rounds 2 and 3 tomorrow?
Go ahead, you can start.
All right. I think the way that the round 1 shook out with only one cornerback going is there is a ton of cornerbacks available in round 2. I'm licking my chops just looking at the list. I mean, Murphy's still on the board. Greedy Williams, your boy from Penn State. David Long, Justin Lane, Julian Love. That one guy from Temple that Grifka likes.
Rocky Sin.
The one guy from Central that I like. So there's some guys available. I have a feeling that in the top part of round 2 we're going to see a lot of corners and probably a lot of wide receivers flying off the board.
Yeah, I agree with that. Grifka, what do you got?
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I feel the same way. I think there's going to be that skill position where there's just going to be a huge run. So he mentioned a number of cornerbacks. A lot of those guys could come off the board really early, even before it gets to Detroit. So I do believe Detroit needs to go cornerback, though, at that point. And, of course, if my boys there rock, I would be more than happy if they took him.
Now, here's my problem. Again, Grifka, I hate to pick on you, but what you said there at the end, like, really frustrates me, where you just said, I think I'll go cornerback in the second round. Like, my whole thing with the draft is Hughes named off a bunch of good corners. He named a few positions, but the whole thing about the draft is sort of, which again, the Lions sometimes don't do the best at, is just letting the board fall to you. So I'm not going to go into tomorrow saying, oh man, I'm taking a corner in round 2, because who knows, by time 43 rolls around, maybe there's a run on corners, or maybe there's a better player at a different position that I want. So I mean, I wouldn't just peg it positionally, but on my board here, I put edge, tight end, interior lineman, linebacker, corner, and wideout were kind of my team needs. So I scratched off tight end. I mean, I'm still looking for edges if there's one. Remember, Hughes, like when we're doing our mocks, like if you don't get an edge in round 1 or 2, like it's real rough after that. I mean, everybody's talked about the linebackers once the Devons are gone. Unless they want a coverage guy like Mac Wilson, it's going to be tough to find a linebacker. But, I mean, there's some interior linemen if they want to fill the other TJ spot. If they want to take an interior lineman, I think that's an option. I mean, I would be shocked if they went tight end receiver, but again, there's some big names. I mean, A.J. Brown didn't go in round 1. That kind of surprised me. Like I said, DK thought he would go, but, he's going to have to be in the right situation, I guess. Hakeem Butler, I know Grifka, you and Chuck had talked about him as a big-time receiver. That's Calvin's boy, though, so I'm sure he won't be coming to Detroit. I mean, let me look at my Lions targets real quick. So the only guys I had left that were kind of first-round values for me on my short list of Lions guys, Murphy, Metcalf, Greedy. And then we get into round 2, like I've heard they love Debo. Awarie is a guy I always liked. What about Chase Winovich, man? You want that edge rusher that we didn't get at number 8. What about Chase, if either then or if he slipped to the 3rd? Like, a heck of a hustler football player. Eric McCoy is an interior lineman that I had heard that they had some really, a couple people mocked to them that they really liked. He's on my short list. And then you got the Paris Campbells, Amenahue. He's an interior rusher if you want to go with something like that. So those are kind of the names I got on my short list. But, man, it's crazy. I think there's so much talent out there. Like, I'm going to be sitting there in the 4th round, I think, licking my chops with 10 guys who could help this team. On my short list, I think, the way this thing's shaking down, because there were some crazy names. I know we don't have time to get into it all, but that first round, man, there was probably at least 7-8 names where I just said, huh? Like, really? Like, I thought some of the picks were crazy, but like I say, we're not in the rooms. We don't know all the other teams' needs, but I think there's definitely some players that slipped that are going to make tomorrow really, really interesting.
Yeah, and I think some of the interior offensive linemen, too, are going to slip even further with the fact that only one receiver or 2 receivers and 1 corner were taken off the board. So, you had mentioned McCoy. There's a guy, too, that I like, Connor McGovern from Penn State, Drew Somalia from Oklahoma. I think those are some guys that you can plug in from day one. But, we always give Grifka crap about, value picks, and I'm not one that likes to take interior offensive line that high because I still think you can get a pretty solid guy in round 3. So even Chase Winovich, I do like Christian Miller too, the end from Alabama. So there's definitely some guys. Zach Allen's still out there. I think he's a good player. So it'll be interesting to see. But I definitely think we'll be able to get a couple good guys here tomorrow.
Hey, and what about this for a crazy idea? Like, what if Jawan Taylor's there at 43? Would you take him, put him at right tackle, and slide in Ricky Wagner, and there you go? Like, I mean, Jawan Taylor's a big, nasty beast, that had top 15 type pedigree. I mean, if he continues to fall, like, I'd think about it. Or Grifka's favorite, he'd probably love to get Jawan Taylor and just boot Ricky Wagner because you hate Ricky Wagner, right, Grifka?
He's paid an awful lot.
Yeah, I know you want to get rid of that contract. It is a lot of money, but, that's something to consider. Like, the way things, if they continue to fall, you might be able to shift around pieces. I mean, I know we don't like taking a right tackle to get rid of a right tackle, but, I mean, if he's a better football player, that's something to consider. So,
even a guy, surprisingly, like Cody Ford's still on the board. A lot of people thought he'd be a mid-first-round pick. You can play tackle,
exactly,
and he can play guard, too.
That's a great name to bring up. Like, I don't know, again, exactly what they're looking for, but I can't remember if he played on the left or the right side. I'd love to plug a guy in at TJ's spot that's always been a right guard, you know what I mean, rather than trying to fit somebody in there. But,
well, he's definitely got a guard body. I mean, dude's 6'4", 346 pounds. So,
right, but they love guys that can move, and that I mean, I'd have to see. I think because he played at Oklahoma, they had that crazy offense, so maybe he can. I'm sure he can kind of move and play that up-tempo game, but they like guys that can pull and, but I'm sure his anchor, and he could be good in the – that's what I'd watch is those mid to upper first-rounders, if they get to 43, that maybe Bob Quinn just goes value because, like you said, you named off about 6-7 corners that I think we can wait on at this point. Lots of good running backs. What did one running back went? I mean, if they want to get it back in the 3rd round, I think that's much more plausible now than it was if a few would have went. So, Should be interesting, man. Like tomorrow is really my favorite day, to be honest. Rounds 2 and 3. I think that's just the sweet spot of most drafts where you're getting real good players, better values. The contracts are just unbelievable at that point. You're not totally throwing darts at a wall, but you got lots of good to pick from. And like I say, they make no money and just really good football players. So does that sound like a plan to you, Grifka, or other than corner, any like positions you'd like to get off the docket or any players that really catch your eye?
Well, like you said, I mean, one guy I kind of like if the Lions don't end up with a corner in the second round. I don't know if he may be there in the third round. He's not rated as high as some of the other ones. That's Trayvon Mullen out of Clemson. You might be able to get him at corner in the third round. But cornerback's one of those spots, like those usually have, you have your steps like you do with most positions. And cornerback this year seems to be one of those, once there's a drop-off, there's a big drop-off. So, and Trayvon Mullen might be one of those where they get, second or third round. So that might be a guy I might be interested in also. I was thinking about Chase Winovich, then you brought him up. I like Chase Winovich. I believe I compare myself to like somebody like a Sam Hubbard from Ohio State that was taken, was it last year? I always thought Chase Winovich he's got a good motor, and I think he'd be a great, locker room guy. I don't know how that translates to the pros. I think he may have been a little bit of a product of the defensive line at Michigan and the defense they ran. So I'm not saying he wouldn't work hard in the pros and he might play with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. But I always thought Sam Hubbard from Ohio State was kind of the same way. They just had such a great defensive line that you couldn't block everybody. And I believe Chase Winovich has a little bit of that as well. So that might be a guy, if they got him in the second, I don't know if I'd be like, I could see him more of a third round guy, but just a couple names there.
Yeah. So, like you say, we had some fun battling out, there's going to be lots of different opinions, lots of negative people tomorrow. Just like I say, because it was a tight end, because it was the name a lot of people have heard for months, when it's predictable and it's not everybody's favorite, I think it's going to be kind of a negative pick, from the public. But like I say, I think we got to both spin it forward and, like you say, project it, but also see how he plays. I mean, if he comes out and has a great year next year, puts all this to bed. If he comes out and struggles, he's going to have to climb that mountain to get over the hump with the fans. But TJ Hawkinson's the pick at number 8. Fills the tight end need and seems to have some what they like to say, versatile game as Matt Patton and Bob Quinn like. So let's go ahead and close this up. One cool thing that did happen is the Kool-Aid drinkers have been using that DKC listener line. So I think we got some calls in tonight. I'll try to see if I can package those up, maybe put that on the end of this podcast or maybe for tomorrow. But we'll definitely get those guys on the show. Those should be fun and interesting to listen to. But Hughes, you got anything else?
No, man, all good. Good first round, man. Best day of the year.
All right, and as we always end it, Grifka, you got anything else for the people?
Nope.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for jumping on, 12:30 or later, 12:45-ish now. We better get out of here, but we wanted to give the people some instant feedback and battle it out a little bit. Can't wait till tomorrow, rounds 2 and 3. Check us right back here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Take care, everybody. We're out.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.